I've never seen anything like it.
We have a lot to unpack here, folks. Don't go anywhere. Holy hell.
I think Special Victims Unit is going to have to go up there to Bob Iger's office.
Dude,
That was a prison shower scene during that Q&A.
I have watched this kind of stuff for 15 years. I have
Never seen anything like that.
Anything like it at all.
And never more than
insane.
I've been doing audits for 16 years, and that is unlike anything I've ever seen. Even I've been in ones where there's been like literally a massive blowout between management and shareholders and like hostile takeover shit that was more civil.
Can I just thank you, Tripping Orc? Yes, it did. I'm sorry, we're going to go a little. I'm not kidding. We have over 50 things marked in the private chat window for super chats and member chats. We're going to get to every one of these things.
Here's a quick comment, and then I'll be quiet for a while. But
no, take it.
The juxtaposition from the start of this, where it was a grand slam. I even tweeted this out. Grand slam.
I said
perfect. And then what happened was, as soon as it got to the proposals and to the questions, people began to ask about the things that are beyond the veneer of Disney, and Disney could no longer facilitate the course correction that I think their people really want to make. But rather, now the questions became pointed at Iger and literally his political opinions of the world, which have been manifested in Disney, and therefore Disney, this political entity now, became an all-out brawl between the right and the left. But the ones who were coming from the right, the left was just basically saying, huzzah for you, hooray, hooray, we appreciate all you're doing. The right was bringing massive, unpleasant truth bombs into the record for the world to hear about, with talking about the Uyghurs in China and organ donations and, what happens with choirs, indoctrinating small children. It was absolutely a beat-down destruction fest with Robert Iger sitting there blindsided and knocked out by it. And I honestly believe, I truly believe this, folks, based on the way he was reacting, I think they were attempting to screen those, and I think that they were framing it as if, oh, by the way, I'm going to talk about Disney Plus, and then 90% is the last 10% is, don't you think we should get away from ideological content? Or, I think that's how those people were getting through the screening. I think that the critics have become so savvy that Disney can't even screen them out anymore.
No, I agree with you completely, because normally what happens in the process is exactly as you specified, Pro, whereby there will be screeners and they will ask a question and they'll say, hey, I'm a shareholder, da 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 da, and they get on the list. And what they're doing is they're deliberately getting through the system without without them being able to bleep, because this is an investor shareholder meeting. And this tells you something else that I believe goes even deeper, which is that even people, it's similar to someone, say, like me, where you might hold some of their stock, but you are absolutely outraged. I'm outraged about the insidiousness of this company and the fact that I can't really allow my own kid to see stuff freely on Disney like I once did.
Exactly. And I'll tell you this too. So we spent a lot of time talking about how Iger had made the mistake. You heard us audibly gasp and say, he's making a mistake. What we were talking about there is when he came out, and he had to be unpracticed at this. This had to have been off the cuff because it's too stupid otherwise. Yeah. When he said that the state of Florida was targeting Disney, the entire argument, the entire legal argument is that the Reedy Creek Improvement District, it has to be separate from Disney.
Yes.
That provides all the protection to the company. If it's not separate from Disney, then Disney is open to massive litigation. Yes. And by him saying that, by him equating
fraud.
Yes, by him equating the two pseudo cities and the special district with Disney itself, it may not for the average person, they may not understand what's going on, but it is a huge court error. It is massive, and it will be used against Disney very soon.
It's very likely that will come up in a Supreme Court case if this Reedy Creek thing doesn't get resolved. Soon. They could be talking about it in Washington, D.C.
And I'd like to reenact for Valliant Renegade's benefit. I'm going to reenact the scene that just happened in Florida where Governor DeSantis just did something like this.
Do you have any confetti back there? Also, we need some confetti and a little bit of dancing.
I'm sorry. What,
Oh
Bob?
my God,
Bob, what, Bob? Keep going, Bob.
yeah,
Thank
keep
Bob.
talking, Bob. Keep I'm beside myself. And what Pro said earlier, I stepped away for a second. I agree. I think that now look, all these shareholder proposals, and I want to make this very clear. Let's back up a little bit, because this is what we need to do here on Valliant Renegade, because this is the point of this channel. This is the objective. Understand that all of those shareholder proposals that you heard rattled off during the earnings call by Mr. Gutierrez, Disney's chief lawyer, okay? Those are pre-filed well in advance. Voting ballots are sent out to stockholders and proxy holders way in advance. You saw when Nelson Peltz's proxy ballots were like 2 months ago now. All of that is baked in. What is not necessarily baked in is what you heard when the proponents of those motions, those measures for the board to put before the stockholders, those 2 minutes that Mr. Gutierrez gave each of those proposals spokespeople, if you were, to get on the phone and say, that is not set up in advance. They don't know what's going to happen during that. So obviously the language, they don't have to go on there and necessarily, to my knowledge, explicitly read the proposal, although some of that language is in the proposal, but it's a little bit more off the cuff. And then, of course, when you get to the Q&A, to what Pro said, I think is very correct, that I think a lot of these individual stockholders that have gotten in the queue certainly have gotten more savvy, where they will say, I have a question about Disney Plus and subscribers. I have a question about this or that, and then they get on the air and then pow,
Unleash.
and let me throw this into the mix, Pro, and I want your reactions. And we've got to get to some of these super chats here. 1,700 people watching right now in live chat. We have so much to discuss. Stay tuned. We're getting all these, because these super chats are gonna ask a lot of very poignant questions.
Well, I have a recommendation. I'm sorry, Pro, not to interrupt you, but when we get to super chats, I got a recommendation. Is how we can blow through and get people caught up.
Okay, we'll get there. Let me say this. I firmly believe right now, without question, and I mean, I'm talking, I'm going to go out on the limb and say I'm 100% certain at this point, that some of these callers that came in with that level of questioning, because there were some Florida people in there, I promise you right now, DeSantis' office was involved in some of those.
I was wondering if you were involved in it.
I promise you right now.
Sounds like our viewers.
That those, I'm 99.9% certain. How about I'll back off 1/10%?
I made the
thought one of those
comment that
guys
I
was
wanted
stripping
to.
work.
I made the comment that I wanted to make a question. I don't think I would have been as brutal as those were.
That was
Tripping work. Not in there
ugly,
on the
dude.
line.
Oh my, good Lord.
No,
Good
Tripping
Lord,
York's
good
too
Lord.
nice. He wouldn't have done that to them.
That was amazing. Okay.
Renegade.